Is there anything from your illustrious career that you particularly wanted to share?
Yeah, the things I have done. Oh my gosh, not all the things that I've done, but God knows all the things that I've done. But as far as my career, I really, back to the Beatles, I saw them on the Ed Sullivan Show in Seattle. or in America. And I was, at the time we were doing this thing in school. They were saying, what is your vocation going to be? What are you going to grow up to be? And I'm supposed to be writing this paper, and I really didn't really know. And I saw the Beatles on TV, and I said, that's what I want to do. So obviously everybody said, well, that's ridiculous. Don't think of doing that. But yeah, so I was really drawn to all the bands that were coming out of England. And I used to buy the records and then come home from school and go down to the basement and sing and sing and sing and learn how to sing from John Lennon, Mick Jagger, Paul McCartney, that kind of thing. And I played in groups in the Northwest for a while as a young guy. I think I started this when I was like maybe 15, where I really started thinking I wanted to be a rock guy. And then I went from there. I had an audition for the Broadway musical Hair that was out in the late 60s, early 70s, Let the Sun Shine In and all that, And I went and auditioned, and there was about 1,000 people out there in line, and I thought, well, I'll wait, and I waited. I got my shot, and then I got called back, and then I got called back again, and I finally got into the Seattle cast of Hair.
Amazing.
And while that was happening, my wife Joyce was in a similar situation in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
And, I didn't know her at the time, obviously. And she auditioned for Hair, and she got into the Boston show. So then I got moved to Miami, and I was in the Coconut Grove Playhouse, and I got the lead in the show and was cast on a bus and truck touring company all through the United States. And Hair was doing really, really well. There were maybe 6 songs from the show that were in the top 10. It was a very huge show. And anyway, so when they cast the bus and truck tour, Joyce got cast and I got cast. And when I saw her, I went, oh my gosh, I like that girl right there.
Wow.
I've been with her ever since. So it's been 51 years or something like
Fantastic.
that.
Mm.
From there, we went, we were in Hair for 2.5 years. I did some acting. I actually was in a film with John Wayne. It's just a small little part, a movie called McHugh. And I auditioned for it and I got the part. And then they called me back and said, oh, you can't play that part. I said, why? And they said, well, you're a young radical guy and you start giving John Wayne some guff and he kicks you in the shin. And I said, so what? And he said, well, you're only 5'7" and he's a big guy and he's not going to kick you. So you don't get that part. So that was my film career.
Oh.
Until Trenches and
Oh, no. Okay. Yeah.
So then we were playing clubs, played nightclubs in the Northwest. And because of the theatrical background that we had in Hair, we were a dance band doing originals, and I think we were doing a lot of Bee Gees stuff back in the disco days. And you know what, James? We were just packing the clubs. On a Tuesday night, it would be absolutely full. On a Friday and Saturday night, there would be a line out the door and around the block to see Joyce perform.
Yeah.
We had this amazing band and this dance show, and it was cool.
Mm.
And we thought we were cool and had everything we wanted, you know.
Mhm.
We had did a couple records.
Mm.
We did TV in Europe and in Italy on the Rai Network. We did like 6 shows on a Saturday night.
Mm.
So I was kind of doing the Beatle thing there, I guess.
Yeah.
And then in there, we hired this keyboard player that came into our band, and he looked great. He played guitar, played keys. He had great gear, and he was just a wonderful human being. Really nice, just wonderful. And he was kind of he was so wonderful that he just didn't seem like anybody else I'd ever met before. And so I asked him, so what's with you? He goes, what do you mean? I said, well, I don't know, you're you're different a little bit. Let's say he goes, well, I have a relationship with Jesus Christ.
Okay.
And when he said that, I was like, oh my gosh, I did Michael Jackson moonwalk back.
Right. Yeah.
And I was shocked. And then it was funny. The reaction was so like, whoa. And then I thought to myself, so you had this attraction to whatever he had. You found out it was Jesus, and then you recoiled in a way that was really unusual. And I just began to think about that. Like, wow, maybe there's something to Jesus. And so I was just kind of curious, and he gave me a book called More Than a Carpenter by Josh McDowell, and I read that, and it made so much sense. And I think God was just really, he put Don Garberg in my life there. Yeah. And so I knew that he was after me. I was 36 years old at the time. And everybody thinks I was real young when I got into Bloodgood. I think I was I was 36 when I got saved. So that really young, skinny guy was like 40, okay?
Right, yeah.
But anyway, so then we got saved. Both Joyce and I got saved at the same time. Literally, we both asked Jesus into our heart at the same time. At our house, nobody led us to the Lord. We just did what Don said. We had never gone to church.
Yeah.
And we just looked at each other and I saw a brand new girl in her, and she saw a brand new guy in me, and we were weeping like little babies because we were doing everything that the world says you should do, and some.
Yep.
And we were very creative sinners, and we were very good at it. But anyway, I had this love affair go on with Jesus that was so intense. I went and bought two Bibles, one for her, one for me. And we would read the Bible like every day. As soon as we'd wake up, we just would read it and read it. I hadn't gone to church, just kept reading. Then we'd go back to the nightclubs and do our show. And then we'd come home and we'd read until we, anyways, it just went on and on and on. And we were just so excited. I mean, instead of smoking weed on the breaks or doing cocaine like we used to do, lines of cocaine, I was doing lines of Galatians and lines of John.
That's amazing.
I fell in love with Jesus. I mean, it was a miraculous transition, and I wasn't desperate. I mean, I don't know. It's like Joyce and I had some big stuff going. And Mike Flicker, the producer from Heart from Seattle, and the guys that did all the record promotions in America, ICE, they were literally on the brink of signing us.
Right.
And then they got busted for payola by the FBI, and so our record deal went south. And so, anyway, I'm thankful that we did not become huge superstars without Jesus, because I don't think we'd be together.
Right.
So that's my testimony there, and and it's nice to partner, that Jesus allows us to partner with him, because it says that they will know us by the word of your testimony and the blood of the Lamb, which means he actually allows us to partner with him in the salvation process. That's a pretty generous Father.
That's beautiful. Yeah. No, when you were just saying about that, during the breaks, doing lines of Galatians, it just reminded me of reading Dave Ellison's, I can't remember if it was volume 1 or volume 2, Dave Ellison from Megadeth, although now formerly of Megadeth again. But the bit where he's saying, I can't remember which tour it was, again, we got the tour bus outside, and so in between that, being a pastor in the Lutheran church, he's nipping back in between songs and in between sets to get back on the bus. And he's running a house group online for his church back home, and he's doing all of this, and perhaps other people are doing other things, and it's just beautiful. And again, and hearing you talk about it again, it is just contagious and infectious, the passion and the love. So that's amazing.
Well, I mean, the whole earth is his, and everything in it, and everyone that's ever been made, and everything that's ever been created, it all belongs to him, and he has the right to put his children in any situation, anywhere, at any time, to collect what's rightfully his. And all we got to do is just is be loving and be kind, and don't put our nose up in the air and think that we're better than anybody, because the Lord never did that, ever. And I want to be like him.
Yeah. Oh,
That's the goal.
no. Yeah, no, totally. Your faith, well, both you and Joyce, but your servant heart, your humility, your ability to kind of go, it's the Jesus way, and so whatever. You'd actively, am I right? You'd actively looked for a position in the Christian band. That was your kind of next bit when you answered the call in the newspaper to what turned out to be Bloodgood.
Yeah. So I really had felt after I gotten saved. I really actually, James, we did a lot of videos and we were quite visible, and back this even before MTV, and we were doing stage shows with big screens behind us with 3 cameras, and so we have a lot of videos of the performances, and I even did "Sympathy for the Devil" by the Stones, and I had my hair was cut short blonde before Sting.
Well, there we go.
The chains and the leather, and and I was doing this theatrical bit and everything. But after I got saved and I saw that, I never ever felt any condemnation from Jesus, and you never will. But I never felt that. But I did feel personally, I felt a little bit embarrassed from my persona before Jesus. And I don't mean that I just mean that me personally, I thought, oh, wow, I didn't really think that I was that. I thought I was cool, and I'm seeing now through the eyes of the Lord that's just, I just didn't know any better.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And I have not turned into a religious nut, actually. I got to tell you, I am not a religious nut. I just have a love affair with the creator of the universe who came here in the flesh.
Yeah.
In the form, named Jesus, or Yeshua HaMashiach, and died on a cross and rose. And he actually did that. And I don't care whether you believe it or not. Even historical fact says he was here.
Yeah.
It's documented history. If you accept any documented history, you have to accept the story of Jesus Christ, because it's in secular books. And so then, Isaiah said 600 years before Jesus that he was going to come, and he did. So those of you who are saying, well, he's never coming back, it's been 2,000 years, just remember, the first time he came as a child was predicted 600 years in advance. And he said he's coming back, and so guess what? He's coming back. And that's my first single. He's coming.
There we go. Nice link.
Wow. God has blessed me. What a performer, huh?
That's excellent. Yeah.
I just now put that together. Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah. No, absolutely. You look at what we can do to each other as human beings, and partnering with Jesus in the salvation thing, but also, proclaiming, preaching, being the kingdom. The freedom to the oppressed, the life in all its fullness. We're entrusted and we're allowed to partner with Jesus in continuing that. It's not as if he hasn't not left us some work to be getting on with, and perhaps we need a bit more time to to get better at it, I guess. So so maybe that's why Jesus, he's coming, but just making sure we've had a bit more practice first. Because, to do it.
And it's funny when people say that they don't believe he's coming, and they're 40 years old, or they're 20 years old, or they're 50 or 60 or whatever, and they say he's not coming. I'm going, wow, for you don't really have that much experience here, and in 40 years somehow you've decided he's not coming back when so he's coming back. There's no doubt about it. And then as far as the time that we have allowed, obviously that leads me to Michael. Michael, his time is up, and Michael and Kevin, the appointed time has come, and what an amazing friend, and brother, closer than a brother in the Lord, someone who I shared a lot of experiences with when it came to just, Christ in his presence when we were doing Bloodgood shows. And I mean, the relationship that we had was different because it was Les and Michael. It was like Les and Michael. We are the original Bloodgood guys, and we're the final Bloodgood guys because, as you know, without Michael, I'm not going to call the band Bloodgood anymore.
No,
and he was not going to call the band Bloodgood if I had passed.
Right.
So we just made that. It was not a contractual thing. It was actually it was a statement of respect and love for each other.
Yeah.
And even when we didn't play all those years, when Michael decided to put the band on hold for a while and became a pastor, I didn't start any other bands.
Right.
The reason I was a performer at this point in Bloodgood is because Jesus changed my life, and I thought, well, that makes sense. I could go back to being a performer if I'm allowed to present him in my in the stage production and all that. So that made sense. And then when we ended, people say, well, why didn't you just do your own solo album? Well, at the time, I didn't feel led to that. But now, during the pandemic, James, that happened and is maybe still trailing somewhere in the world, I don't know, but a lot of people just kind of shut down. Joyce and I spent 2 years here in the house, got ourselves a Logic Pro system. I got my guitars out, which I never really used to play.
Okay.
And we got up every day and got very productive. I wrote over 40 songs.
Wow.
And I was learning how to play guitar, and I was playing with the drummer on the programs. We learned the DAW system.
Yep.
Joyce, when computers first came out, I'd call her and say, honey, so I want to, I can't understand this. She says, well, what's on your desktop? And I go, what does that matter?
Yeah.
She goes, what do you mean? I said, well, there's like a pencil and there's
some coffee and
She goes, no, that's on the screen. It's called that's how little it was when it came to this. But during that time, we both learned how to work Logic and guitar and playing.
Yeah.
And I think it's a miracle. I mean, we're 73 years old. She's done an amazing job as an engineer. All the stuff that you're hearing that he's coming, she engineered that. Okay, so the drummer from Nashville, Dan Needham, we hired him to play. We sent him the stems, and he played to the click with it. So he, of course, had his drums all mic'd, and it's professional. So you get your drums, 16 channels or whatever he sends us. You get all those stems together, but then we would just send the stems out to the guys, and they would their parts, and they'd mail them back in, and then we would put them together. But before that process, the writing process went through a lot of changes, starting with acoustic guitar and maybe a drum machine on the drum track, and then I would develop it and redevelop it and rearrange it and add verses or take verses out. So it's really, really a fascinating process. But there's a whole lot into making it sound great. It's so well produced, but when I say that, I mean, it's not that overproduced thing where it's all just squashed down here and it's got the dynamics and the punch and that rawness, but it's that rawness in control power thing. It's a terrible way of trying to describe it, but I think you get what I'm saying. But that's exactly how I like it. I mean, I like to have that, but at the same time, you also want to have that finesse of a record. So we did not mix it. We sent it to a gentleman in Atlanta named, his name is Wyatt Oates. Right. Strange name. But he's a great mixer engineer. And he worked with Fozzy. I don't know if you've ever heard of Fozzy. So Fozzy is Chris Jericho is the lead singer. Yep. Chris Jericho was a Bloodgood fan when he was 16 years old.
Was he really? I didn't know that. Wow.
And he saw us in Canada when we were touring there.
Yeah.
And he bought all of our records, and he became a big fan of Striper and Bloodgood and White Cross and Red Cross. And I had never heard of Chris Jericho ever.
Right.
I didn't know. I didn't watch AEW wrestling or anything. and then when the Trenches of Rock movie was available, he bought it and he posted it on Instagram. And he's got 4 million followers.
Oh, okay. Right.
And I went, so who's this guy? And anyway, he got a hold of Michael and I and did a podcast with us, and he told us he'd been a fan. And you know what, James? He is one of the most incredible people that I've ever met. He's so thoughtful.
Right.
His celebrity doesn't affect him in any way. He's super kind. He's super encouraging. He's super generous.
Yeah.
I mean, his persona as a wrestler, he's a tough guy, but man, I'll tell you, he's a believer.
Right.
And I'm sure that people that go to church, some people would go, "Oh, there's no way."
Yeah.
I got to tell you, this man has been extremely generous and kind to Bloodgood. He's been so wonderful. And he actually was the MC at our last show that Michael did last February.
Oh, right.
My center.
Yeah.
And it was super exciting. We showed the movie in the afternoon, the full movie, and then Chris did a podcast with us afterwards with Michael, Paul Jackson, myself, and then we did the show. And when he did the intro for us, he got up there. I think he named every album that we did and every song. He said, "I can't believe I'm here to see these guys."
Wow.
He just was. I just love this guy. I love him. So anyway, he's in a group called Fozzy, and I went and saw them too, and they are really good.
Yeah.
They really are good. They're not a Christian band.
No.
But they are a really good group of people, musicians. Rich Ward is fabulous, and PJ, they're just really great. So I think they're going back to England, so everybody should see them. The reason I bring him up as an example is because there is a great example of people who love Jesus doing what Jesus has commanded us to do. Yeah. Not being confined or you're in this camp or you're in that camp. Or I think the Bible says that everywhere that we go is holy ground. We need to know that. We need to understand that the space that we take up is space that belongs to the King of Kings, and that we need to walk in it as if it's his, and it is, with confidence. And I just heard yesterday that walking with the Lord was the word in the Greek or the Hebrew actually means to be in step with or in a cadence, as if you were marching. And that makes a lot of sense. Because if they say, turn left, you turn left. If you're supposed to turn right, you turn right. If he says stop, you stop. And it's not like, I'm walking with Jesus, and I'm kind of meandering and looking at the flowers, Yeah,
we've got to be tuned in and ready, and
you got to be. No, you're with your daddy, and you're doing this thing together. So stay in step.
Well, and I love it, and the cadence thing. And I know cadence is slightly different to the musical cadence, but the whole link there with music, I love as well. That's I did not know that. That's
And it's funny, James. It's funny that I thought of that when I heard that yesterday, and I thought, music, which is God's invention, but music, any music that is absolutely right in the pocket, I mean, you're tight, like the way Bloodgood is.
Absolutely.
Right in the pocket. All of a sudden, whatever it's supposed to do to you comes alive. But if you're a novice group and you're not in the pocket, nobody's interested, because it's really not being performed the way that it should be. The same thing would apply as you walk with Jesus. Hey, if you're outside the pocket, you may still belong and all that, but you're not as attractive as if you're in cadence with him. I think basically, I was kind of writing down my thoughts about people that are just they don't care about facts. They don't care about history. They don't care. They're just spewing out whatever they do. And that's just rampant right now. Probably because we're so connected through the social media and everything. It's like all the weirdos have come out. It's like, I mean, everything's just right in your face now, and we never have ever had to sift through so much stuff. And I don't know that we're even designed to do that. I mean, we can do it, but wow, is it good for us? I don't know. But people just setting their traps and telling lies based on no facts at all, just because it works for their agenda and everything. And the fact is, you can do that, but guess what? He's coming.
Okay.
And as far as you to shoot it up, you heat your spoon. That's what a heroin addict does. They heat that spoon up and they suck that out and stick it in their arm. And what they want is they want that velvet touch that John Lennon sang about. Touch on like a lizard on the window pane. And, if you've ever had that experience of heroin, you would understand. Like I said, I used to be a great sinner. I certainly did have that experience, and not for a long time, but enough to know I don't want to do this. But the reason I did it was because John Lennon was doing it, and all the guys were doing it. And I thought, well, is that part of what it is? And is that what I have to know to have the soul and to have the mind? So that was my motivation, but I did it. I realized, oh my gosh, you could get hooked on this. But the deal is that you do that, and you're looking for this velvet touch that only lasts a little while, when you should be filled with the Holy Spirit. Because you're all looking for life. Everybody's looking for life. It's right there. I mean, God is hidden right in front of us. He's hidden in plain sight. I mean, he's like, woo, you don't see me? I'm right here. So that's what that's about. And then, you can beat on your chest, but understand there's no one righteous except one man, and he's coming. And I know it doesn't go any deeper than that, but the fact is, is coming. Maybe in a lot of ways, again, we understand that he is coming, that life is temporary, and whether he actually physically comes back, which he will come back. But I'm sure that Michael has already experienced his rapture, because he's staring at the face of God. So he's there, and we don't know what the appointed time is. And so we should always be ready. Okay, so it's on all streaming platforms. I don't know what it's like over there. Probably the same. It's on Spotify.
It's definitely Spotify. It's on iTunes. I found it there as well. It's on Amazon. So
it's on YouTube. It's Amazon Prime. I think you can download it on my website. But I mean, if you want to go direct that way.
But you were saying, so you kind of did all that writing and during the sort of pandemic and things. So you've got material coming out of your ears. Is there an album on the way? Is there?
I do. I really do. And I mean, I really do. Again, I think it was because I was getting out there with my guitar every morning, reading the Word, and then I was just asking the Lord. I just asked him. I said, "Could you just pour into me? Like, just give me songs. There's nothing else to do here. I mean, I'm doing this," and I loved it. I mean, it was a really productive time, and I'm still writing. But we've done this. We've gotten so much into this album recently that my wife was saying this morning, and that she said, "Yeah, I really miss just making new music with you." So we're gonna do that again right away, and I've got a lot of the material for the second album already. And I've got to say that the players on this record are just amazing. Paul Jackson from Bloodgood, Greg Church, who was in the Rock Theater show,
right?
That he and I wrote 2 songs, and Joyce helped with one of them, and then Ricky B. Rogers. Played with Brian Duncan, and he's really this amazing 6-string bass jazz guy.
Wow! Right.
He did all the bass parts with a pick.
What?
With a pick.
Wow!
and he played like like a rocker, dude. And
Yeah.
so then his mentality really brought a great rhythm approach to all the songs. And then I wrote a song with Oz Fox, and called Judas is Dead, and it's a theatrical piece. There's three characters. There's Judas, there's Jesus, and there's Satan. And the lyric of the story, and Oz just killed it on the guitar.
Wow.
And so it was just him and I. Oz actually played all the instruments.
Right.
And that'll be one of the cuts on the album.
Right.
And the variety in this, I've even got like a 6/8 times sort of progressive prog.
Oh, fantastic.
Sort of a thing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Just put strings on the bridge section, which I don't really use a lot, but James, every one of the players have told me that they are absolutely excited about this music.
That's cool.
And that's when you really know.
Yeah. Okay.
That's when you really know.
Yeah.
And for me personally, I don't know, maybe God wired me this way or something. I don't have to be a rock star. I mean, since I got, I don't have to be, but I understand if I am, I can play that role pretty well. I can get
okay. Yeah.
But playing guitar on the record too, wow, I never had that opportunity. But I actually play one of the rhythms on He's Coming.
Right.
Da, 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 and that's how I wrote the song.
Right.
The guys said, no, we got to keep those parts on there because
cool.
they're in the pocket and they sound cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So on my second single, I've got called I Want to Know You, that'll be out in September. I'm playing guitar in there too, and so is Craig Church with a 7-string Schecter. I mean, he's got that's what Korn uses when they play.
Well, I was going to say, that's, whoa.
And I mean, so this next one, He's Coming is great.
Yeah.
Next one, I think, is going to bump it up a notch.
Right. So I was going to ask, so in terms of the writing then, does it, I guess, has it changed so in terms of writing now, does the riff come first, or if you are writing, I don't know, say with others and not necessarily on the guitar yourself, is it lyrics first, or and does it depend on the context? It's just whatever comes. Yeah,
a lot of it. What I was doing is I spent some time on the guitar, so I was just trying to get some progressions and some grooves. You know what? It feels really good when you're playing an instrument and you're actually in time. It's really good. It does that thing we were talking about, the cadence, where you.
I look forward to the most of my life when I do that. So
yeah. Okay, we gotta live our life together. But anyway, it depends. Some of the songs, like for example, the song that Oz gave me, he gave me the music first, so I just listened to the music. And as I was listening, I thought of these lyrics. I thought of Judas killing himself and whatever. So I pulled that together and again, I got in the habit of praying that the Lord would give me extremely clever lyrics, because if you find yourself trying to do everything on your own, why, when you can partner with the King, why not? And all you got to do is be quiet.
Yeah.
I will listen while I pray. I mean, I got to know you. I want to know you. But I will listen while I pray is one of the lyrics, because a lot of people just go in there and they're shooting their mouth off, The Bible says he doesn't want to hear all that. He already knows what you're thinking. So just come in and do more listening than speaking, and because his voice is going to be the one that gives you the guidance that you need. But he also gives inspiration. And so I've been doing this for a long time, and I understand that you sit there with your pad and pencil and you're ready to go, but if something comes to mind, write it down, and don't judge it, just write it down.
Okay.
And then write down the next line, and don't judge it, even if it's crazy and silly, just write it down. Because what you might find is by doing that, it leads you to another place of inspiration.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you find that piece actually will fit in a bridge that takes you to this other thought that finalizes.
Okay.
And so now what seemed ridiculous makes sense.
Yeah.
And I was just reading about C.S. Lewis, where they'd get together there, and what were they called themselves something
At the
in Cambridge, and
at the Eagle and Child with Tolkien.
Yeah.
Is that the one? Yeah.
And they would get together and they would have a pint and they would
Yeah.
just talk about writing. And they would share their stories, and then the guys would have input with each other. So what this did is it inspired even greater inspiration, I guess, or thoughts. And genius, came, and there you have some stuff.
Yeah.
So like in that song I wrote, "Crush Me," waiting on your genius. From that, where it flowed.
Yeah. And this whole thing about, us as the body of Christ church, and I don't mean, the building, the sort of, the religious bit, but as the hands, the feet, the voice, and actually we are so much more than, to some of our individual parts when we, and we all fit together. We all fit together.
Honestly, and if it wasn't that way, then they wouldn't be talking about the body. We're considered the body. We're considered living stones that are formed together. And you notice that a wall, that's a brick wall, can be easily just punched through. But a wall made of stones that literally have been fit together to work become much more solid, and that's the body of Christ. I find it so interesting that before I was a Christian, my circle was musicians and actors and dancers. And after I became a Christian, I still had that circle, but I also had doctors and lawyers and plumbers and gardeners and waiters and waitresses, and wow, the friendships and fellowship that takes place there. It doesn't have to be everybody's wearing, the same metal shirt today.
Because one of the questions I wanted to ask you was just because my sense was growing up, you go to your local Christian record bookstore when we still had those in the UK, and you could buy American kind of rock metal bands there. But I just found it so hard to find any scene in the UK, and I just wondered, having seen the scene for so long and toured in so many places, is it better in America? Is there much more acceptance of Christian rock and metal? Is it broken through more? Because I read, secular rock press here, and bands that I know are Christian bands are getting reviewed. They don't necessarily talk about their faith, but there's no, Striker used to be. It's not bad for a bunch of Christians, but so
it's it has changed. When we first started, it was very, very difficult. Nobody wanted us. As a matter of fact, our best audience was in Europe.
Okay.
Because Europe didn't seem to care. They were more like, hey, if you're a good band, you're a good band.
Yeah.
So that religious factor has always been around us. Yeah. Always, even when Jesus was here. So it just continues, doesn't it?
Well, exactly, and I think this is why doing what I'm doing is John Wesley, who founded the Methodist movement, had this thing about being more vile, which for him was about preaching in the fields. So he couldn't get into. He saw the sort of the average person who didn't have their name on a pew in the parish church, couldn't get in. They had to stand at the back, and he said, "Well, actually, I think this message is for those as well." So he went and did it, preached in the field. He said, "I submitted today to be more vile and to preach the good news in a field." So I kind of, there's a bit of me that goes, yeah, do you know what? Actually, the stuff that perhaps within some religious circles, if this is seen as a bit vile, I still think, God's there, like it's God-given gifts, and if there's a way of taking the message of those God-given gifts and the divine within each of us into those places and naming it when people are shredding on a guitar, then let's do it. I think is where I'm coming from. So and I guess again it's just
I think God is coming from there too. I mean, obviously his word talked about, hey, you guys you don't have time for the banquet, you don't want to come to the wedding because because you have too many things to do. But then I'll just invite anybody and everybody that wants to come.
Yeah.
And a church that isn't like that probably is maybe not feeding people in the proper way. I certainly do not, one thing I don't want to do is I don't want to go, hit the ball back over the net, say, okay, well, yeah, this Americanized version of Christianity is, they're not very kind, or they're not very thoughtful, or they're not very open. Then all of a sudden I'm making a statement about my brothers and sisters who, you know what, they don't know any better. They don't know any better. The bottom line is, hey, you have an opportunity. We all do have an opportunity to have a relationship with our Savior, direct. The curtain's been torn. Come on into the throne room, sit in my lap, and make your requests.
Yeah.
I mean, this is where it's at. So me, that is really appealing.
Yeah.
So we do want to get to one thing real quick about the Kickstarter.
Oh, yes.
The Kickstarter that is now up and available.
Yep.
Everything that's on the Kickstarter is digital. Can be, for Europe especially. If it suits you and you want to be a part of this Kickstarter, I'd be so thankful and grateful. And I believe that we really have got some music that you're going to enjoy. That it's the kind of thing that you could start that album and listen all the way through, and it's going to have textures and changes, and it's going to be interesting, and and it's going to be in the groove.
You have to try.